Good morning. My name is Jeneen Beck. I am the Achievement Specialist for School Culture in Frederick County Public Schools. Today I had a meeting on my calendar with three staff members in the county, and as the work in our schools continue, their work continues, and I was not able to meet with any of the staff members today. And so the topic was circles, and despite the lack of an audience, I am recording this professional learning so that it can be of use to parents, staff members, educators across our county and state, because I will be sharing this via platforms that I am on to help others to continue to build community. I want to share first. My lunch break was with an old bandmate, Rosa Patterson, out of Columbus, Georgia. She hosts weekly a call in which she has different professionals across different disciplines and fields of work on a free conference call. She has her students facilitating the interviews with different leaders, about 10 to 15 minutes with each leader. Each call, I think, has about 4 or 5 individuals. And I only caught the last version, the last 2 interviews, about 5 minutes of one interview and the entire of another interview. And can I tell you, empowerment is what I'm hearing. Visionary leadership is what I am seeing. And I want to just applaud. I want to start by applauding you, Rosa, for your commitment to your students, your visionary leadership. The class of 20 right now, I know they are hurting. I have one myself, and I'm praying daily that, the hope is not lost. They've worked really hard, but that phone conference interview that you are doing is amazing. It speaks to your commitment to students in spite of the closures, in spite of the barriers that might prevent you from being and continuing to be a passionate leader. So I just want to say thank you for all the parents and for all the other leaders who are watching your role model and listening and learning, and for all the children who are being mentored virtually, even through phone calls. I love it. And so thank you for that. I want to talk today about restorative practices and community building through the use of creativity. And that is one creative means of really connecting and keeping that consistency and structure with our students. And so free conference call is something that anyone who has a connection with youth, you can pick a day of the week, commit to it weekly, 1 hour a day. Whether it's just hearing your voice, it gives people something to look forward to. Whether it's you connecting with your sorors, connecting with your classmates from school, whether it's you and your fellow employees or friend circle, everybody can make a difference. And it is the time now for us to find our leadership strength and to step forward. And so I am going to train each and every one of you who can hear the sound of my voice and choose to click on this presentation to train you on how to create a circle, how to build community by creating restorative practices through the use of circles. And can you do circles in a school setting? Obviously, you would be in a circle with students sitting in front of you, because most of us, all of us, are not in school right now. We have to rely on other creative ways to reach our youth. And so I know I'm working on a few things, a podcast, different presentations that I've made and shared through YouTube, just trying to motivate and to inspire others. But circles is something that you can do just by process. I apologize if you can hear our children in the background. It is a school day, and they are working on relationship building right now, because right now I am on a call. So I want to focus us on circles. And circles are a way to build community. They are a way for us to ensure equity. And I want to just share a few key principles and maybe watch a short video clip of circles in action. And so the philosophy of restorative practices comes out of restorative justice, commonly found in the juvenile justice system, where we are really trying to repair the harm and restore relationships by involving all parties who were impacted. When we look at restorative practices, though, in the school community, we're really talking about 80% of our energy and our actions being committed to building community, whether that be activities with students, teachers and students together, staff together, building relationships and getting to know each other, staff members and parents. We focus on the entire community. And so whether you are a member of a school community, whether you are a member of an organization, I encourage you to consider restorative practices. And so I want to focus today on just looking at what a circle can do for a group, a team, individuals who are trying to strengthen their relationship. A circle provides a structure, a platform for dialogue. It creates connections because if you have two or more gathered, then you are sharing things about each other and creating connections. It allows for all voices to be heard. And from a teacher-student perspective, it feels fair. Even from a professional organization where you have people who are maybe the bosses, CEOs, down to employees, down to any other person that's a stakeholder in that organization, you need to ensure that everyone's voices are heard. A lot of times we use surveys to accomplish that, but it is really good to have that face-to-face dialogue as well, and to allow platforms for people to communicate their thoughts, their opinions, and for you to learn something about your community. And so in a classroom, a circle provides students who may not be willing to speak normally for fear or because they're not confident in their answers to have low risk questions asked and to share their responses. It helps with our vision in our county with cultural proficiency and making sure that everyone feels safe and belongs, that they belong in a community. So topics can go from personal or interpersonal, social, emotional development, academic, common interests, work-related ideas. You want to make sure that you are creative when you are designing your topic for your circle. In a school setting, we're looking at getting to know students, problem solving, summarizing, reflecting, classroom incidents, discussions. A lot of times when you have a substitute in a classroom, the next day when the teacher returns, a circle is a good idea to debrief. Now you might have the substitute notes, but you might want to hear from your spirited students how the day went. And then that, routine is established. I've heard from schools who are starting their Mondays after the weekend, just 10 minutes, checking in with students, a quick go round on how was your weekend. And the things you can learn by just taking time to listen are just powerful. And so at a family setting, for those of you who have children, multiple children, or even stepchildren, it allows you to get to know each other, and it allows for a safe structure for you to do that. When you think about this virtual platforms, the virtual platform that we're using right now, you have to find a way where you can still see people. And so Zoom and Google Duo or Google Meets are some ideas. But I liked the way that I felt like the call that I listened to earlier was in the form of a circle, because they passed the microphone and each listener, each speaker had a listening group. Though everybody didn't get a chance to speak, that was kind of a non-sequential circle. And so thinking about being thoughtful about your circle prompts, you want to make sure you are speaking from the heart, sharing just enough, listening with respect. You want to have guidelines for your circle. So even if you're using a virtual platform, I recommend having guidelines for each speaker, and so that people feel comfortable with sharing. And so, because the idea is to hear from everyone. So when you're planning to host a circle, you are beginning with an introduction. I usually recommend that your introduction has some kind of connecting moment. And so maybe favorite place to travel, which would be a kind of a low risk kind of an opening prompt, or one thing you're struggling with during COVID. That's kind of a higher risk. Some people may choose to share, some people may not. That's another important strategy when you're facilitating circles. You have to remember that, different questions are going to evoke different emotions, and we want everyone to feel safe. And so you're going to want to make sure that you have communicated your process for people passing, and it's okay. You also want to consider when you're going to begin by answering the question first, or when you're going to allow others to speak and then you conclude or summarize with your thoughts. It really just depends on what your intent is. Are you trying to learn? Are you trying to teach? Are you trying to build community? And that helps you to really phrase your questions. Circle rounds. There's just, going around and around and around and asking different questions. And then you have to close out the circle with some kind of summary, either, again, another relationship or a summarizer, checking for understanding for what people, received or learned or are taken away from the circle experience. And so here are some questions that are good for low risk. How many siblings do you have? What's your favorite pastime? What's your favorite movie? You can always add the why behind that if you want to actually hear more. You can also prompt your speakers and your participants in your circle to use one word answers or just have it open-ended depending on the size of your group. And so these are some ideas. And so because we're talking about virtual settings, I want you to just consider your platform, practice with your platform. I know on Google Meets, there's different grids that you can add and different things that you can add to ensure that you can see your entire audience or group. And I would suggest that you do some kind of training in terms of for your participants to show them how to work with the functions as well, because it definitely is something that can be done. A talking piece is something that you use when you're in front of others participating in a circle, but remembering to have your guidelines are really, really important. So I want to take a moment now to look at circles in action. And so we're going to watch a video called Restorative Circles. I think I'm actually going to fast forward a little bit to where we can hear from students on the power of circles in a school setting. How do students feel?
My parents have always, taught us to talk things out. So I grew up with that, but for other people, I think it's different.
I can speak freely without being judged, or I just feel like in an open environment, like where I can just speak my mind.
You definitely get to say a lot more of the things that you want to say, and I get to express the way I feel. You don't get cut off. I don't have to have anyone judge me for what I say or, so yeah.
We get to say what we want to say, and we get to say whatever.
A lot of adults that only let you say what they want to hear.
And it makes us feel happy to say what we want to get to say.
You feel like really, really good when that feeling of like all the dread and all the stuff that you've been needing to say just lifted off your shoulders when you actually say it.
You can express what you do and don't like.
And you can say exactly what you've been needing to say. It's fun to hear other people's stories.
You get to know more about people, and people get to know about you.
I like to interact with people in circles.
Circle helps you like interact with more people, like just talk to more people.
It just lets me know that I don't have to be fearful about myself. So every time I come to circle, I can just come out and speak whatever's on my mind.
It helps me think about what other people really like about the world.
When I first came into school, I think that I felt like a fish out of water, but when I started participating more, I got to see how everybody interacts, and everybody was just fine about it.
When I first started coming here, I was just sitting here quiet, and I didn't want to talk to people because I didn't know anybody well.
I was so quiet, and I wasn't talking to nobody because I didn't know nobody.
You kind of have a mediator, and you can face the person without fearing that there's something bad's going to happen, or they're going to say something that's going to hurt you really, really bad.
I get close to the circle and talk to them a lot, so I can know them.
I have a best friend named Benito, and I like to know more stuff about him and everybody else in the classroom. So it's really fun.
I shouldn't be feared or like intimidated about being in school. I feel like I should be like open and free.
It's an easier way than, screaming in the hallway and cornering up against lockers.
You get to know what other people like, and you get to share to other people what you like. I like the questions in a circle. It's sort of a way to start a day off, and we have little games at the end of it, so it's sort of a fun way to start the day off. Well, what I like about circles is like everybody gets a turn. Smart. It made me feel like a part of this class. It made me feel special. It's just a really fun time to share. It was accidents. Empathy is when somebody is feeling sad and somebody cries because they don't because they feel great for that person and they have empathy to help them. Empathy is like something really powerful. You put your feet in someone else's shoes. If someone falls on the ground, and you fell on the ground before, you know how they feel to try to help them. And you can feel what they can feel. Pretty much feel what other people are feeling. Empathy is when everybody's nice, a flower starts to spread.
All right. I like that segment ended with looking at empathy, because one of the goals of restorative practices and effective communication is to provide or to develop empathy for others. And so I appreciated how all of those students, from the elementary to the middle school students, who were talking about empathy. Now, the question that we were asked to look at was, should students have a voice in helping to resolve disciplinary issues? And so one of the reasons why we use circles in a community, a school community, is to help resolve disciplinary issues. And so while that is not the only reason, because there has been research associated with the implementation of restorative practices in terms of improving instruction, because when teachers have significant relationships with students, they are more likely to want to work and do things for their teacher. And so academic achievement obviously will improve when you have students who are listening and learning and participating as a result of your relationship. However, discipline is another reason and a process through which we use circles. And so whether that is a formal conference after something has occurred to hurt members in a community, and we involve parents, administrators, counselors, students, teachers to help restore the relationships and to repair the harm that occurs. We give an opportunity for both the victim and the offender to be brought together. And so if I were to answer that question, absolutely. I don't remember as an administrator, being a principal, being an assistant principal, being a team leader or a teacher, trying to resolve an issue by just hearing from one party. That is almost like guilty before even having a trial, right? And so we don't want to do that to our children in our school communities or in an organization. And so if your processes are not equitable at work or at school or in your household, try restorative practices. Try to involve each person who was impacted by a situation in the restoration, the repairing of that harm. All right, let's continue on watching a little bit more of that video. Give me a moment while I again begin to share this video with you. Presents. Thank you for your patience. My household does seem a lot quieter now. And let's continue on.
I don't. I've been using restorative justice or circles in one way, shape, or form for many years now, to the point where I can't even. It's like secondhand nature. I can't even think of what I was doing before. It doesn't make sense to not be in circle for me. So I see it as something where people's voices are valued. Places where, if it's set up, depending on how I'm a facilitator or how it's set up and goes about, it's a safe space, and it's a space where a lot comes out. And I think that in terms of like for the place of restorative justice, it's a place where you can feel that you're not just a mistake, you're more than your mistake.
We had spiritual circles, like when we just sit there, we'll pass like one of these talking piece, like one lady from, she was in the Indian tribe, and she came, she showed us a talking piece, she passed it around, she told us what it symbolizes, and stuff like that. Like every Friday there's a different circle. Sometimes we even have circles just out of a blue.
And the circle is there's a lot of communication with these circles, and it feels like really good to actually connect with the people and be able to share more. In this sharing, it's like it breeds this understanding in all of us, and it forms a community that we're in now.
Community, and I think it's cool. I think that it gives students a space to speak from that feels, secure, that makes them feel like, okay, no, but people are listening to what I'm saying. Everybody feels better. Everybody feels welcome. Everybody feels, I think, safe. And that doesn't mean that you're going to have this perfect classroom just because you do circle, or that things aren't going to happen. That's certainly not what I'm saying. But I am saying that circle, you feel safe, or you feel more confident as a teacher that you have a way of addressing the hard things that come up in a way that's going to value your feelings and the students' feelings. And so I wouldn't teach without circle. Sometimes kids are surprised by what they hear other students say, and they carry it, and it helps them build relationships that maybe otherwise wouldn't have come up, because they're like, oh, I like what so-and-so said in circle, and I really was surprised what so-and-so said in circle. And then they can kind of build these friendships outside of the circle that otherwise might not have come up. Or they can, when it's between friendships that have already existed, they can say, no, but you said that in circle. Remember how you said you wanted to commit to this, or this is a goal you want to have for yourself. And I think, it gives them a different kind of space to have these conversations, because I think it is still like there is still this academic undertone. You are still in tone, so you are still in school, so the tone is different from the kind of conversations they would necessarily have on their own.
It was good to hear what people had to say about it, because for me, I'm a quiet student. I don't really talk to nobody as much, but when people was talking about me, it was good, because I didn't know people would even notice that much about me. Restorative justice I think it's the way to go. I think that should be every school's way of dealing with suspension or an expulsion, because it gives a student a fair chance for everybody in the community to see what he really did or she was wrong or not.
Actually, I feel like if anything, like if any student or any child is going through something, even if you're using circle within a family, it really, really helps. Like, say, a parent doesn't have the best relationship with their child and they don't know how to communicate with each other. If you use circle and you really talk and use the circle norms. Circle norms is like, respect the talking piece, respect each other, be your best self, stuff like that. It would make a difference, believe it or not, because when I first came here, I thought circles was a joke. I was like, what is this? I don't want to be here. But circles actually help it better your attitude, and it's peace within yourself.
Muhammad Ali said, if you're the same person at 50 that you were at 20, you wasted 30 years of your life. And so I look at it as we grow and as we evolve, if there's new practices, like kind of opening yourself to the idea that this might actually bring something to the conversation, and in context, hopefully create more love, peace, and community. So I would hope that educators believe in the idea of education as a way to feed a revolution of the mind and the heart. And if they're doing that, then I can't imagine another practice that they wouldn't want to incorporate. Other than restorative justice, I feel like it's one of those things where when you participate and you bear witness to what it can do, like I said, it becomes a natural. It becomes a second hand. Like, why wouldn't you sit in a circle instead of lecture? And that has its place too. But why wouldn't you consider making a relationship like that?
All right. So I know every time I watch this video, I take something different away from it. I really appreciated how the young lady who spoke um, clearly was the last young lady was clearly aware of, the impact that circles have. I am appreciative of the routines that were in place clearly in her classroom so that she was able to speak to the norms that exist in the circle, speaking your truth, respecting others. All these are really important, whether it's for a school, whether it's for a business or a family structure. And so I want to end by brainstorming some ideas for circles, and I am going to share my vision for community circles through Jeneen Cares. After work hours, we're going to use Zoom, and we are going to have 30-minute circles. So I am going to be sending out the link to the Zoom calls. You can meet me there on the designated days for 30 minutes of a circle experience where you will learn. I'm going to just share what the questions are going to be right now in case you want to prepare for that experience. Question number 1 is going to be simple. How are you? Question number 2 is going to be, what can you celebrate? I know right now there are a lot of things that we may be disappointed in, but in this circle experience, we are going to have celebrations. So you're going to bring something that you can celebrate. Question number 3, and this is because my organization, I'm looking and really connecting people to support our youth. I want to know, what are your thoughts right now about virtual schooling and things that are going on? Just tell me your thoughts, whether you are looking from the outside because you don't have a child in your life and you're having discussions with other parents, or whether you're a parent. What are your thoughts? And then we're going to close on, what suggestions do you have to support our youth or to support our school districts? And so those will be the questions that we will discuss. And as we close out the circle, I'll ask a question about, how was this experience for you? And so you will be my voice for, why I believe in circles, and hopefully in restorative practices, and hopefully it will resonate with you, or something will resonate with you, whether it's a connection with someone else who participated in it, or just the experience with others, so that hopefully you can take the charge and do the same thing. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate you listening. I would appreciate you sharing this message, because we know that we build community most through word of mouth. And so I want you to be positive, exercise self-care, love yourself, love others, support your family, seek help if you need it. As adults, we even need to consider our own mental health, create boundaries for your mental health. And so if there are things that cause you stress, take some time for yourself. That is really important during this time. Be aware, be present, and be great. Have a wonderful day on purpose.